Are you ready to unlock your true potential and transform your mindset for success? Welcome to the Personal Evolution Podcast. Join your hosts, John and Lisa, as they delve into self-improvement strategies inspired by thought leaders like Dr. Joe Dispenza. Together, they will help you break free from limiting beliefs and embrace a growth mindset. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode.
Hey there, and a massive welcome back to another deep dive.
Great to be here.
You know, I came across something really electrifying recently. It was a YouTube video. And honestly, it's completely shifted my thinking. Just brilliant.
Which one?
It's called Daily Habits to Brainwash Yourself for Success. Dr. Joe Dispenza, 4K.
Saw it on the Chris Williamson channel. Seriously, if you haven't watched it, you really need to make some time.
Yes, I know the one. That video definitely grabbed me too. It's one of those things that just gets your brain buzzing, you know?
Right, totally. What hit me right away was how they linked up like our actual biology with our ability to change. Yeah. It wasn't just theory, it felt really practical, almost like a roadmap based on, well, neuroscience.
Exactly.
But.
And for me, a big takeaway was the explanation for why it's often so hard to break old habits. It's not just, not having enough willpower. It's baked into our neural wiring.
Mm-hmm.
But then, crucially, they laid out this framework for how we can actually start to, rewire things. Okay, yeah, let's dig into that.
Yeah.
One of the main ideas was about learning, how learning creates new connections in the brain. Sounds simple, maybe, but the implications are pretty huge, right? Every new thing you learn can literally reshape your mind.
Absolutely. But what's really fascinating, and they made this point well, is that just getting the knowledge isn't quite enough. It's like those new connections are just potential. They need nurturing.
Okay, so it's like
practice. Exactly. Repetition.
Yeah.
That's what strengthens those new circuits. If you don't reinforce them, they can just weaken and, disappear.
And this connects directly to what they were saying about those immersive experiences like the 7-day deep dives he runs. The idea isn't just passive learning. It's about really flooding your brain.
Yeah.
Getting the philosophy, the theory, understanding it so well, you could actually teach it to someone else. That was a key bit.
Oh, definitely. That act of teaching, it really cements your own understanding. It makes you actively strengthen those pathways you just formed. The saying, nerve cells that fire together, wire together. Well, that's exactly what happens when you explain something you've learned. It's like you're installing the software for the change you want.
That makes sense. And here's something I found really interesting. They stressed that if you truly get why the change matters, the how becomes much easier, almost obvious.
Right.
That understanding gives you the drive, the meaning behind it all. And like they said, if you can't explain it, it hasn't really sunk in properly. It hasn't become part of your neural setup.
That ability to articulate it, yeah, that's a huge sign it's gone deeper. It means the knowledge isn't just floating around intellectually. It's actually embedding itself in how you think.
And it doesn't stop there, does it? They went on to say you have to apply it, personalize it, make your actions line up with what you intend. That's what creates a real experience.
Yes.
And those experiences are what really enrich the brain circuits.
Precisely. Because when those neural networks get more organized through doing it, through the experience, the brain actually releases chemicals. You get the feelings, the emotions tied to that new state.
Yeah.
So that feeling of abundance or success or wholeness, it literally teaches your body chemically what your mind has just understood intellectually. It's this really powerful feedback loop.
Wow. So it's way beyond just thinking positive.
Mm-hmm.
You have to actually embody that new state. Let those feelings become, normal for you.
Mm-hmm.
And the more consistently you repeat that experience, the more you condition your mind and body neurochemically to work together in this new way.
That repetition, that's the bridge. It takes you from conscious effort, where it feels hard, to subconscious competence, where it just is.
Right.
When your body knows the way instinctively, that's when it's truly ingrained. It becomes like an automatic program.
They also talked about why making different choices feels so difficult sometimes. We make resolutions, New Year's stuff.
Yeah.
But then we slide back. What's going on there biologically?
Well, if you keep making the same choices day in, day out, you're essentially just reinforcing the same biological state. Same neural connections firing, same chemistry, same hormones. Over time, it even influences gene expression. It's a loop.
So thinking the same, acting the same, feeling the same, it just hardwires it all.
Exactly. And those emotional reactions, how you automatically respond to certain people or situations or even your own thoughts, they get deeply conditioned in the body. subconsciously.
Right. And the video mentioned that by middle age, something like, 95% of who we are is just that unconscious stuff, habits, thoughts, emotions.
Which is pretty mind-blowing. And it leads to the big question. How on earth do you start taking that apart? The first step, they argued, isn't just positive thinking. It's getting really aware of those unconscious thoughts driving the habits.
Exactly. That moment you consciously go, okay, I'm going to choose differently. It feels weird, right?
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable. Your brain, loving the familiar, just throws up excuses. Start tomorrow. This is too hard. You're just not that kind of person. The trick is becoming so aware of those scripts that you stop running on autopilot.
That metacognition, that awareness of your own thinking and feeling without judging it, it's absolutely vital. You have to actually catch yourself saying the old things, doing the old things. Like, if you want to be happy, but you notice you're constantly complaining or blaming, recognizing that gap is step one.
And then dealing with the emotional leftovers, that sort of chemical residue from past stuff.
Yeah.
You have to consciously ask, do I want to keep feeling this lack, this suffering, this pain? Is this coming with me into my future?
Precisely. That whole journey of becoming so conscious that you don't automatically default to the unconscious program, that's what intentional change is. It's noticing when you slip back and consciously picking a new response.
Yeah, the video really highlighted that initial discomfort. Choosing differently feels unfamiliar, uncertain. And if your body has basically become the mind, as they put it, it starts nagging the brain, trying to get you to think the old thoughts, make the old choices, get back to that familiar, maybe negative but known emotional state.
It's a huge process. Neurologically, biologically, chemically, even genetically shedding the old self to make room for the new. And, you can see why many people find it easier just to stick with what they know, even if it's limiting, rather than step into that unknown.
And this was hopeful. The video pointed out that real brain change often happens when you push past that point where you feel like quitting.
Yeah.
That breaking point.
Yeah.
That's often where the growth starts.
Yeah.
In that unknown territory. And even though our biology might be wired to see the unknown as dangerous, it doesn't have to be.
Right. If you can learn to function effectively there in that unknown space, if you can consciously choose the thoughts you want to fire and wire in your brain, and remember, a belief is just a thought you keep thinking, you can actively start reprogramming yourself.
Mental rehearsal. Okay, this part was fascinating. They explained how vividly imagining how you want to act or respond in a situation actually builds those neural pathways. Like your brain starts to look like the experience that was happened.
Yeah, it's amazing. Your brain stops being just a record of the past. It becomes a map for the future you're creating. That rehearsal lays the groundwork. And if you do it enough, it gets more automatic, like pre-installing software.
Okay, so then comes the big test. If you're choosing to move away from, say, suffering or judgment, and you want to feel things like gratitude instead, can you actually teach your body emotionally what that future feels like before it happens?
That's the goal. Conditioning the body to feel those elevated emotions ahead of the event is incredibly powerful. Especially those heart-centered emotions, they seem to trigger really positive biological shifts. The body's objective, right? It doesn't really know the difference between a real event and an emotion you generate internally through thought alone.
So the formula kind of boils down to consistently think differently, act differently, and feel differently. Do that over time, and your personality changes. And when your personality changes, your personal reality has to change too.
Yeah.
New opportunities, new experiences start showing up.
The essential point here, I think, is that real lasting change often means going deeper than just surface habits. It's those underlying currents, the ingrained thoughts and feelings that really drive things. And sometimes, unfortunately, it takes a big shock, like hitting rock bottom, to force us to really look at ourselves.
That metacognitive moment, seeing yourself separate from the programs, that's the start. But the video also offered a really encouraging angle.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait for crisis. You can actually make change happen fueled by joy and inspiration.
Right. Could you be pulled forward by a vision of your future, by a belief in that potential that's stronger than your attachment to your past? If you can get into that elevated emotional state, combined with clear intention, you can become aware of the old patterns without being defined by them anymore.
They really hammered home that we live in this amazing time where it's not just about knowing what you want, we actually have access to the how. People are realizing, I think, that if they want something different, they actually have to be someone different.
And that process of imagining the future you want, really immersing yourself in it until you start to feel the emotions like it's already real, that creates this powerful internal blueprint, like a memory of the future.
Wow, a memory of the future. I like that.
Yeah, and when you make choices from that place, with that firm intention, the energy of that choice can actually start to pull your body into alignment with your mind's vision.
So it becomes this like landmark moment, a long-term memory of a future you've already felt. You're giving your body a taste of what's coming, building trust and pulling yourself forward.
And the practice is constantly returning to that alignment. Clear intention plus elevated emotion. Intention needs that why, that meaning.
Yeah.
When you really get it deep down, that a better life means you have to change, and that your life will change as you change. Your focus naturally shifts inward.
Okay, but that transition, moving from the familiar known into the uncertain unknown, that's where most people get stuck, right? How do we get more comfortable with that ambiguity?
Well, the brain, as the video laid out, is basically a record of the past. It reflects everything known in your environment. So when you wake up, where do your thoughts often go? Problems, which are just memories wired in your brain, each tied to an emotion.
Right.
So thinking about the past and feeling those negative emotions just keeps conditioning the body to stay anchored right there in the familiar past.
And then we jump into our routines, the automatic sequence of thoughts, actions, feelings we've done so many times. They're unconscious. Our body's kind of trying to drag us into a predictable future based on that past.
Exactly. The familiar past and the predictable future, that's the known.
Which leaves
the present moment. That's the sweet spot. That's the domain of the unknown. Learning to master the present moment, learning where to put your attention, because where attention goes, energy flows. That's fundamental. Paying attention is being present.
So if you're doing something like meditating, and your mind drifts off to worries about tomorrow or regrets from yesterday, that's not failing.
Not at all. That's just becoming aware that your attention wandered, that you lost conscious control for a moment. The practice is noticing and gently bringing your focus back to the present.
Okay, but the body might resist, like if it's used to its routines and feelings.
Oh, absolutely. You might feel impatient, frustrated, bored when you try to be still. That's just the body's old conditioning saying, hey, what's going on? This isn't our usual program. The work is gently guiding it back, reminding it you're the conscious mind here, not just the sum of old habits.
And if you practice that consistently, training the body to be present, to be okay in the unknown, eventually you start to embody that awareness more and more.
Yes. And that liberation of energy when the body shifts from being stuck in rigid patterns to being more fluid, more present, free from the past or a predictable future, that energy often shows up as a feeling, like gratitude, just for being here now. It's a skill. You can learn it. Even if millennia of programming tells us the unknown is scary, you can practice relaxing into it, seeing that right now is usually okay, and start expanding what feels possible. And that can trigger all sorts of positive biological changes.
So really, this whole amazing deep dive conversation has just spun out of the insights from this one video. Breaking down the science and the how-to of changing yourself, it really boils down to awareness of the unconscious stuff. Mentally rehearsing the new you and learning to just be in the present moment, open to whatever comes.
Ultimately, it reinforces that core truth. If you change, everything changes. Nothing outside you is really going to shift until you make the shift inside.
Absolutely. Wow. Definitely some powerful stuff to think about there.
For sure.
Well, that does bring us to the end of our time for this particular deep dive. But I'm already excited for our next one.
Me too. Always more to unpack, isn't there?
Definitely. So until then, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.
Thanks for tuning in to the Personal Evolution Podcast. We hope you found today's insights valuable. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave us a comment and share your opinions on what we discussed. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more empowering content. Until next time, keep evolving.